Welcome to Jewelry Creators Academy. I'm Carlos Anthony, and I'm so glad you took the time to watch this training video that shows that you want to increase your knowledge and become a better jewelry designer and a creator. Now, this course is focused in jewelry rendering. That means that you're a jeweler, you're a designer who wants to create close to real life images and videos of your designs. Now, you don't need to be an advanced designer and an expert to take advantage of this course, because this course is all about creating virtual photo and video studio. Just like in real life, all you need is a camera, a good lens, and basic understanding of lighting and composition to create amazing pictures for your jewelry. Now, with that being said, if you already have some experience in photography, this course will make a lot of sense, and vice versa. Now, let's break down the 3 phases of the course so you have a clear understanding what you will learn. Phase 1, in order to create a close to real life render, you need to have a close to real life virtual 3D object, meaning the closer to real life metal craftsmanship, the more believable the render will look. You might ask, how do we accomplish that? Well, we're going to use the help of the 3D software that you already have. So let's take a look at a few samples, what makes a good 3D model and what makes a bad one.
Alright, so let's jump into the computer and let me show you some of the designs. Let's start with this one. As you can see, this is kind of like what the model looks like. It's not really made for rendering. If you can see, these edges are really sharp. And that's one of the reasons why the product doesn't look that great, because it's just too sharp, it's too perfect, and jewelry doesn't look like that. Let me show you what your ideal outcome wants to be. See, this one, it's already more rounded. It's not perfect. Jewelry, when it's after it's polished, is not really perfect, even though it gets a lot of post-processing when they're trying to present the product. So here's a quick sample. The prongs are made in such a way that this looks like if it was polished and was actually worked on. There's a bevel in the bezel. The stones are placed in a different position than the model was, and that makes a huge difference when you're trying to create a render. Let's look at another sample real quick. This is another one that I made, and well, I mean, all this is just supports for printing. Let me hide them. And this is the actual model. As you can see, it doesn't have the cuts. It's just got dots, so we know exactly how many stones it's gonna take. And sometimes what I seen other people do is just round off the prongs, and they render like that, or they just make them shorter and just round out some of the edges. And still, there's something off about that render that doesn't look that great. The ideal outcome that you want is just to create the prongs like if it was finished. You want to create the U pave or the pave like if it was finished. Like in this instance, I rounded off everything and I just left the prongs in its original state just so they can pop a little better. And that is what really makes a huge difference from a good rendering. Even if you don't have a lot of skills creating the scene, it's just this makes your design, it makes them look more believable like actual jewelry. Let's take one more sample so you can see. Look at this piece. If I need to turn around a quick render, for example, I went the extra mile and I created all the cutters for the piece, and now I can add my stones and kind of render it. And you know, then again, I can just round off some of the edges. And sometimes it just takes a long time to round everything off. So there's a certain way to do it where you create this kind of model where instead of rounding off the prongs, you just create that look that that the stone is actually set. And if you haven't had the experience to do it yourself, or haven't paid attention to how sometimes models are finished, this is something huge that we miss. And it can make the difference between render they actually translate better to create sales, to put as a product in your website, and this is what makes a difference. And if you can look at it, it doesn't look that perfect. And still, even though it's not worked to its fullest potential, it looks a lot better than the other model that I wasn't really worked on.
Phase 2 is understanding what the materials actually look like, the way the gold looks, textures if there are any, especially the way colored stones and diamonds reflect light in their environment. We will show you what it takes to recreate close to real life materials and textures. I'm going to show you tricks and tips for efficiency so you can recreate the right materials for your product. So let's take a look at a few samples of renders.
Let's take a look at a sample of a few renders so you can have an idea of what is it that we're trying to do in this course. As you can see, this is a really good render, but it's not just about preparing the model. You got to understand how textures reflect light and how gemstones might react with different settings. Here I have another model that has this really cool look. You can see the diamonds and white gold and this sapphire, and even with some lighting that is not so great, you can still get a good render. Let's look at a simple render in Keyshot so you can look at it real time. Let's move it here and we are going to see how it starts rendering in real time. This is one of the advantages of having a separate render engine other than your 3D model, because it would just focus on the task of rendering. So another aspect that will help you get these renders to look really good is understanding what your materials are supposed to look like. So we have looked at many different textures of what gold actually looks like, whether it's 14, 18. If you Google it, you can see they have different ways to look, whether it's green gold or whether it's rose gold, white gold. And as you can see, depending on how the lighting, this looks extremely processed, but this looks a little bit more natural. Gold reflects in different ways, especially the ways processed. You can see rose gold here, yellow gold with a texture, with a matte texture, or really high polish. And also with color gems. Color gems is another huge part of making a render really pop out or really be something that doesn't look that great. You can see they all have different ways of reacting with light, and they have this specific things that make them look amazing, or if you miss it, it would not translate like the color that you're trying to apply to that material. Let's open another render so you can have a look. See, that looks okay, but let's open another render. Now with this scene, you can see you get the colors to pop out more. The materials are modified a little bit just to fit the application of the render or the scene that you're trying to create. And you can see the stone also reacts to the environment. That's also very important to learn how to adjust so you can get a true representation of the piece that you're trying to sell, you're trying to promote, or you're trying to put on your website that is closer to the actual materials that you give to your customers when they purchase. This is something that we really focus on this course, is helping you to understand how it works so you can reproduce the same results as you see in here.
Phase 3, lights, camera, render. I love this phrase because it's very important to understand how to create the scene, or how to create the right circumstances in order to capture the perfect moment. We will dive into environments and how they affect the scene. We will create lights in order to create the mood. And then we will dive into the diverse settings to capture the moment with a virtual camera with the options that helps us compose the $1 million shot, or virtual shot actually. So let's look at some pictures of product and how we can use the same techniques in the software.
So let's open up a couple product pictures that we took. Here is one of the rings that we deliver with an alexandrite, and you can see there is a certain element that really translate into our renderings, which is very similar. We really like that black background with the lights enhancing the scene. Look at the prongs, look at the alexandrite, how it reflects, and the other rings are a little bit off blur, just to give a sense of scenery and mood to the actual picture. And that is something that we like to take advantage when we are creating our renderings. So in this picture, you can see really clear how lights affect, even though the background is really dark. There's a little bit of post-processing done in Lightroom, but that's it. We didn't use Photoshop to fix any imperfections in the ring. I think that brings a little bit more of that true feeling that you're looking at a picture, and not something that is extremely processed. You trying to affect something that actually doesn't look that way. All right, let me open up KeyShot so you can take a look of this render. And it's the same approach with the black background and having the lights to impact the way you're seeing it develops. If we turn it a little bit, you can see there's just that black background. It makes it look amazing. Let's take another view. I have a certain style that I like my pictures to look like. So once I have it, all I have to do is just bring my models and adjust the lights, the materials, how it reflects into the actual piece to create this type of renderings. And usually once you find your style, is just dropping your models into the scene and render them. That is something very amazing that with the new technology, it helps you recreate in a way what you would actually do in the real world with product photography for jewelry. So I love this shot because it really shows how the piece would look like in a different angle, and because we already done this piece, we know what it took to finish the piece and photograph it. We understand how to make the rendering, and that is something that really makes this course different than anything else that is on the market. Now let's open up a quick video so you can see what I mean. So if you look at this quick video, you can see how diamonds rotate and they reflecting not only light but those dark spots that it just makes it look a little bit more real instead of just shining on your face. This is straight from the rendering engine. We haven't done any post-processing, and just we do it intentionally to show you that this just brings a little bit more realism into our scene, the way we texture the metal, the way we actually apply the lights, the settings we have for the diamonds. We do it with the intention of bringing realism to the picture without having to look so much processed or look over processed. With it kind of looks a little bit more fake. So that's something we're really focused on this course, and we're really proud of presenting and helping you to achieve when you finish this course.
These are the three most important elements that make this course different from anything else in the market. We have spent years prior in areas of jewelry manufacture, so we know what the product looks like when it's done. We know what the materials are supposed to look like because we work with them all the time, and we have experience in actually product photography because we have the equipment and we know what it takes to create the shot. Because we're jewelers and designers, we're doing something that no one else is doing. We're going to have classes for different rendering engines, so you're not limited of just using one software. If you already have a preference, you can learn new tricks. We're going to show you how we use KeyShot, Mavericks, V-Ray, V-Ray for Matrix 9, and Octane for Blender. And there are different benefits, whether you want to dive and create amazing scenes, or you just want to create the right scene to drop your models and render them. But it gets even better than this, because this course will be updated constantly with new material. Everything you need is already included in the course with tons of free resources we wish we had when we started years ago. We are not gonna stop there. As an extra bonus, you will find techniques for post-processing your pictures and videos with the help of Photoshop, After Effects, Lightroom, and other free software. Now, this course is on its early stages, and we're looking to partner with you to get it off the ground. So we're offering you a massive discount for jumping in with us and create the course that you are being waiting for, with experts that have decades of experience in the field, who are also willing to share their experiences and their secrets. As a thank you for watching this video, I will personally give you a free lesson and show you the equipment that I'm using and talk about the designers and companies that I work with. I would love to answer your questions or know your suggestions you have. That way, we make this course even better for you. Let's jump on a video call. My email's in the description. Let's set up a meeting if we haven't talked before, so I can give you a promo code so you can save big and invest your hard-earned money in other things like better equipment. We are very selective of who we want to partner with because this is not for everyone. So take advantage of this opportunity and don't get left behind. Thank you so much for your time. I will see you inside the course. I'm Carlos Anthony. Ciao.